We're here to talk about B5, but I've got a feeling that we've been here before.
Oh my god.
That was a great opening. You know it was great.
How long were you thinking of that?
I thought of it, I went to the toilet like 10 minutes ago. So,
Oh god.
welcome everyone. This is a bonus news segment because out of nowhere, a new Babylon 5 is in the works. If you've been paying attention and you watch our reviews, we're working our way through the original Babylon 5 every week. We're mid-season 3 right now. And just out of nowhere, today, they're recording, they just announced that the CW, of all places, is developing a new reboot of Babylon 5. So we thought we'd talk about it. J. Michael Straczynski, who is involved, even more involved than I thought he was going to be when I first heard of this today. And also Tara has done some fan casting she would like to share with us. I
heard about this early in my workday, and I did like 5 hours of driving today by myself, so I had some time to think about it. I don't have everybody though, so I'm gonna need some help.
Yeah, all she could think of for the rest of the workday was, but who could be Bridge Boy? Who could Bridge Boy be? So we're going to talk about this. So this is it's weird because my first thought is I see the headline Babylon 5 in the works at CW. My first thought is, oh, is this going to be like a lot of other things that came back where the first one's still in continuity, but we're going to be set decades later with new characters or whatever. And it's not that. Like when you get into this, I'll read what JMS said in a second, but here's the thing. J. Michael Straczynski, the showrunner and the writer of the vast majority of the episodes of the original, will showrun this. If this gets picked up to series, he is going to be the showrunner, which is
That's crazy good news.
And that's what's weird about this, though, is that typically if that's the case, it usually does mean that it's some sort of a sequel thing.
Yeah.
But it's not. It's a straight up reboot.
Yeah, I mean, I think that means like there's a lot of stuff that he wanted to do in the original series that because of casting changes or because of restrictions due to special effects or budget, like maybe he had a lot bigger plans for the show that he wasn't able to do.
Well, I've got some of what he said because he put out like a sort of bunch of tweets on the Twitters. So
I don't have Twitter, so go ahead.
I'll get into that in a second, but I think that there's a lot of this is kind of just surprising. Not surprising that Warner Brothers want to do something with it because let's face it, the big TV shows that keep people attached to like either a network or a streaming service now for 5 years or whatever it may be is a very sought after thing. Babylon 5 in many ways was ahead of its time in the type of storytelling that it was doing. See, now a 5-year show that has serialized storytelling is, I mean, don't get me wrong, you still have to like track out the good ones, but there's a lot of networks and cable networks and streaming services that are trying to do that.
We watched the Twilight Zone reboot for the streaming service of Paramount Plus now. And I'm sure they had more seasons planned, but we only got two seasons of those. Oh,
sure, yeah. So this is very much a thing, but we're getting reboots of so many things. One of which, funnily enough, is happening again, but Straczynski actually references one of them when he's talking about his plan with this. So I'll read what he said on Twitter, and then we can sort of discuss it on the actual information that he's given. And I've also got the official synopsis that's been put out with this news article.
Mm-hmm.
And one or two details of it are kind of interesting, just in terms of how it's different from the start of the show. So, yeah, this is a tweet thread. I don't necessarily read every line because it'd be a lot to read, but he basically says, yeah, I'm going to answer some questions about this new CW show. He's writing the pilot, and if it's picked up, he will be the showrunner. He says, the network understands the uniqueness of Babylon 5 and giving me a great deal of latitude with the storytelling. As noted in the announcement, this is a reboot from the ground up rather than a continuation for several reasons. And he says that he's done a bunch of stuff since Babylon 5, movies and TVs, learned some things, all that kind of thing. And he's asked himself, you know, if he was doing Babylon 5 today, what would it look like? What would it be? And so much. And just to sort of jump ahead a little bit, because he compares to things and metaphors. He talks about it, to compare it to other TV things, he says that he's more interested in being what the Westworld show is to the Westworld movie, or what the Battlestar Galactica show is to the original Battlestar Galactica is, than doing just a retell. So what he's saying here is that he doesn't want to just redo the exact same story. Like, he's going to take all what the concept of the show was, what the ideas of the show were, but he's not going to just do a remake. So it's not going to be the same plot beats. It's not going to be...
We're not going to get the Soul Hunter episode.
Well, maybe he's got a new and improved version of that planned for us. But yeah. But he says, fans regularly point out how prescient the show was and is of our current world. It would be fun to take a shot looking further down the road. So we'll not be retelling the same story. There'd be no fun and no surprises. Better to go the way of Westworld and Battlestar Galactica, where you take the original elements and evergreens and put them in a blender with a ton of new, challenging ideas to create something fresh yet familiar. So the idea that he wants to take another crack at this and do new things, even though he's going to use some of the characters again, the synopsis does mention a Sheridan, so we know that there's going to be names used and things like that. Obviously, Babylon 5 itself is going to be there, but
it's not called Babylon 6.
It's not. They could have done that. They could have called it Babylon 6.
Well, I don't know. I mean, maybe the station survives, and why build another one?
True. And a hypothetical where it's a continuation, which is not.
Yes. If you haven't been watching our reviews, then, and you're just like looking for Babylon 5 reboot news, then
yes,
we're only halfway through the show. yes,
we're only halfway through, so we don't know the ending of the show yet. But yeah. So we're coming at this from a mid-season 3 perspective. But he talks about how the original Babylon 5 was innovative in a couple of ways. It was the first to use CG to create ships and characters, and it looks it. To be fair, it does look like the first.
That is, one of the things I thought about that could benefit from a reboot, possibly.
Well, on a network that's not the CW, I think the joke today that I've seen like 10 times is that the effects might look almost as good as the original on CW. Although,
I don't really know CW. I know they hire a lot of pretty people. That's about it.
They do. But to be fair, on that joke, though, as much as it is kind of fair for some of the dodgy effects they've got in some of the superhero shows, I do find that CGI for ships in space tends to be easier to do than, like, a character doing something completely unhuman and looking fake. So I think it'll probably look fine in terms of the ships and stuff. But he also talks about... for the first time, Babylon 5 was introduced to viewers accustomed to episodic television to the concept of a 5-year arc with a pre-planned beginning, middle, and end, creating a brand new paradigm for television storytelling that is subsequently, I can't say that word. You know what I'm trying to say. And it's become the norm. Subsequently. That's what I'm trying. Subsequently. That's the way I like to say it. There you go. So he says, the tradition for innovation will continue in this new iteration, and I hope to create additional new forms of storytelling that will further push television medium to the edge of what's possible. And then it just concludes with saying, everyone at CW has been very enthusiastic, supportive, and they're all hopeful of this becoming something special. Which, I think what's interesting about that is that when I think of CW, I don't think of innovative and special. I think of fun, but for the most part, safe, kind of bubblegum TV. So if they really are pushing for this, and everything he's saying about sort of wanting to push the envelope with his storytelling, and because what I get from this is that his mantra of wanting to do a pre-planned 5-year thing, or whatever, however long this one will be, maybe it's not 5 years this time, like he still has the same idea that he wants to do this big serialized thing that's not just episode of the week, problem of the week. So
well, that's more normal now. I mean, that is normal. It's odd to do something that's very episodic now.
It is, but they tend not to, especially on network, they don't tend to be planned to the end. Like they tend to have. I guess so. They'll plan for
season-long arcs.
Yeah, they'll plan for the season they're working on, and then they'll have a few. Like this leaves it for next season with this, and this, and then they'll come back and pick up the pieces and sort of develop the next season. Especially on network TV. But I will say, hearing him speak about it on Twitter and seeing his enthusiasm and him saying he just wants to sort of like do a good job
Give it
again.
Another shot. Yeah.
But it doesn't sound like to me, because you said earlier maybe there was things that you didn't get to do. It didn't sound like that from what you said there to me.
No.
I mean,
no.
And maybe there is. I'm not saying there isn't, but it sounds like he just wants to sort of take the ideas and just do another show set in a space station with the same name.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like he's learned a lot now, and he wants to do it again, do his magnum opus. And if it's, not as good, we still have the original one that, fans can still watch.
And even
I'm very excited about it, though.
And even if it is as good, or hell, even, dare we say, could it possibly be better? I'm not going to assume that, obviously. I'm skeptical as anyone is, but if it is as good, then they both should hopefully stand kind of separately. Because I think I've never went back and watched the original Battlestar Galactica. I've never felt I need to. But what's funny about that comparison is that they're actually doing another new Battlestar Galactica soon. They're developing one. I want to say on Sci-Fi, maybe it's on Peacock. One of the Universal owned things. So it is interesting to compare it to those examples. But I think what's interesting to me is that Babylon 5 feels a lot more recent in terms of the original than those other examples. Westworld was the 70s. Babylon 5, the original, was the end of the 70s into the start of the 80s.
Battlestar, yeah.
Battlestar, sorry, yeah. So this is interesting. Then again, that said, when Battlestar Galactica got its reboot series, it was like 2003, so the actual time difference is probably actually longer for Babylon 5 now than it was for Battlestar then. But,
right.
So that's super interesting.
Very surprising news. I did not even speculate. I didn't think that Babylon 5 was popular enough to want to reboot or to come back in any way. I
mean, it's got a very obviously passionate following. We've kind of seen that, just been reviewing it. I think it's not so much that it has a big enough audience that the name value is that. It's more that you see a lot of this now where they go through their vaults of what the studios, what they own, and say, what can we turn into? For them, they're hoping it'll be their next either Game of Thrones or something else of a similar level of success. Not in terms of the tone or the style or it. Just we want something that big that's going to be the next big hit.
Something epic. Something that people will be like, this is actually great. And come back and talk about it at the water cooler.
And I suspect that maybe the reason why this is, if they are as enthusiastic and giving it and letting him do the Babylon 5 that he wants to do and not completely CWing it up, which is, I guess, the concern that people might have, it would probably be that there's a good chance that some of the people who are making decisions at CW and Warner Brothers right now might have grew up watching Babylon 5 and might actually, care about it. So
I mean, they cared enough to bring in the creator and give him lots of control, it sounds like. I
guess the most enthusiastic part about the whole thing is that he's enthusiastic. The fact that he cares and seems to want to do it is far more interesting than, he's taking a paycheck, he's going to get credit as executive producer, but it's actually, little Jim Peekaboo over here who's going to be the showrunner. And maybe he's good, maybe he's not, who knows.
It is strange that he wants to just start from scratch. Though, that is a thing where I'm like, but you have so many fans of this show that would be okay with you just making Babylon 6 and continuing so that it's part of the canon. This isn't a Star Trek Next Generation thing where this is very much I'm just going to do it again, but with more CGI money.
I'm good.
Well, I mean, it's cool because we'll be able to get to see Centauri Prime and Minbar, and we'll see the crystal planets and interesting sunsets on those.
Yeah. I do think it's more to this though than just we can have modern CG. Although I'm sure it's probably exciting to not have to render it all on Amiga, like I believe the original show did.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he was limited. We were just talking because we just reviewed an episode about how the 90s limited a lot of storytelling that he wanted to do.
Yeah.
And now that can be fully, realized.
Yeah, just certain things you weren't allowed to do. And whereas now, we talked about the network not wanting them to have an explicit gay romance at the time. And now, I mean, CW is full of that now. You watch any of those superhero shows, they all have probably at least one gay character who's been, if they're not with another main character, they at least have episodes where they're with a partner. There's no... it's very I don't know, queer friendly, I guess. I don't know if that's the right term, but like I think there's that. I think there's maybe just the way TV has changed and how much bigger it could possibly be. Might have some of the appeal. And maybe it's just
he doesn't have to worry about any kind of like filler. I don't want to say filler episodes because I know you hate it, but like he could just stick with the serialized storytelling of like, we're just going to stick with this plot instead of like, if you wanted to do like a 10 episode season thing, it can be a lot more concentrated.
CW have been experimenting with 13 and 16 episode seasons recently, so it's entirely possible that it might be that rather than a full 22 episode. It feels like they're shifting away from that a little bit, and they have things that are maybe like fall premiere and then stuff that's mid-season, and for some reason CW's mid-season starts in like March, so it's like a weirder time, but it's entirely possible that could be what they do with this. But I do want to say though, I do think it is not just that the CG could be better now, although I'm sure that is a nice thing. I'm sure that's a nice like appeal as well, but
I'm sure that's a big turnoff for people who are like, I should give Babylon 5 a chance, and then the first season is pretty rough that way.
Yeah,
if you're expecting like a certain quality of, I mean, the quality of writing and acting is there except for the guest stars, but that's the only thing that it really suffers from, then is like a major thing.
But I mean, if you're redoing characters, and we know we're getting a Sheridan at least, and there's probably going to be others, but like, can you imagine anyone else being Londo Jakar? In fact, you do because you've done some fan casting, but
it's really hard, actually. Yeah,
those
that's
two,
the thing. Like,
in particular, are tough. Before we go into that,
I do think I have a good Londo.
Well, before we get into that, though, I want to read the official synopsis that came out with the news stories. So the reboot revolves around John Sheridan, an Earth Force officer with a mysterious background who is assigned to Babylon 5, a 5-mile-long space station in neutral space, a port of call for travelers, smugglers, corporate explorers, and alien diplomats. Now, that was changed a little bit. It was similar to that little speech from season 1 and 2, but it was different. There was no wanderer at the end. For a start.
All alone in the night.
Yeah. Anyway, at a time of uneasy peace and a constant threat of war, his arrival triggers a destiny beyond anything he could have imagined, as an exploratory Earth company accidentally triggers a conflict with a civilization a million years ahead of us, putting Sheridan and the rest of the B5 crew in the line of fire as the last best hope for survival of the human race. There's a little bit of that speech there at the end as well.
Little season 3 in there too.
I think what's interesting about that is the idea that an Earth ship is going to, or an Earth company is going to trigger something with a civilization that's beyond human beings. Like I don't even know if that's talking about the bad guy. That could be the Minbari they're talking about in that description.
Yeah, that's actually what I thought at first. Yeah,
which would be interesting if we're going to like start with the Earth Minbari war, and
start with Sheridan and not Sinclair.
Which would be a complete, especially since like if you can think about it, the Babylon stations in the original show like were created after the Minbari War because they wanted to try and maintain peace after that. So if they're going to set it up that's flipped and now the stations exist before that war, that would be a very different thing. And the Minbari like co-built or co-funded the station, so
that means that this version of Sheridan and Delenn definitely aren't going to kiss for like a long time. That's going to drive me nuts.
Wasn't actually Claudia Christensen, I saw briefly on Twitter as well. She doesn't know anything about the new show, but did seem to imply that GMS had said to some of the cast that he would like them to be involved in some capacity, whatever that may end up being. So I mean probably cameos, I'd imagine.
Some sort of legacy cameo.
Like I could see like Ivanova being like one of the admirals who comes on the screen talking to whoever the new Sheridan is, or sure. There's some small role like that. I can see that happening.
Yeah.
But
unfortunately, so many of them are no longer here.
It's actually really sad just how many of the cast are not here, and it's not. And
I was trying to think of who else that could do it.
And they should be.
That's Peter Jurassic's still around.
Then they should be. That's the sad part, is that they're not that old. Like this is a show from the 90s, not the 70s. Like they shouldn't be as this whittled down as they are. But number of factors.
Bruce Boxleitner is still around.
He'll get a cameo for sure. He's like, he's cheap as well. Like,
Yeah.
Bruce. I mean, I'm sure probably most of the cast
He
from
might
the
be
show.
retired.
I might be.
Yeah.
It's not been that long since he was in something, I don't think. But I just think that's a really interesting couple of details that are in there. I mean, most of it's just simple, but the idea that he just gets the posting. So is there going to be a Sinclair? And if he is it someone who shows up later? Is he like a special character in the new one if he does appear? Like, there's
Maybe there's like
ideas.
stories of Sinclair from the last. Like, yeah. Maybe he's like he's the Captain Pike.
It's a lot. Yeah, okay, it could be. There's a lot of interesting. I think the fact that it's going to remix everything and it's not just, oh, here's a remake of The Gathering, here's a remake of this episode, here's the start of the war that's just doing the same scenes as the original.
So we know exactly where all the plot lines are going.
It's going to be more like this feels to me more like, and admittedly this happens too often with comic book stuff, but this feels to me more like when they decide to reboot Batman, so they do a new origin story, and it happens too much, but you don't see it in a scale like this with TV shows where it's like we're doing the thing again, but it's going to be like a new take, new fresh ideas, and we're remixing it a little bit, and so it's interesting. Yeah. All right, well, do you want to do the fan casting?
Okay, but I'm going to need some help with it.
Okay.
Because I think, honestly, like, it's really hard to do that. It's hard to separate, like, the actors from the characters that you know so well.
I reserve the right to make fun of any of these picks.
Oh, yeah, all of them are, like, mostly jokes anyway.
Right, so obviously Chris Pratt's Sheridan.
Yikes, no way. He's too busy playing Mario.
That was the joke. I'm referencing the fact that they announced him as voicing Mario, as in Super Mario. Just for anyone
so weird.
who didn't get what that was.
Okay, yeah. I don't have anyone for Sinclair. It seems like he would be an easy person to cast because you'd have to have somebody who's kind of like that reserved, cool character. Someone who is maybe more of like a more fatherly than boss-like in a lot of ways.
Okay.
Because he kind of comes off as that way, more like caring, but not like in a stepdad situation. I don't know. Do you have any ideas?
I thought you had one. I thought you
No, I don't have
one
one for Sinclair.
Oh, right, okay. Oh, for Sinclair. I thought you were talking about Sheridan. Sorry. Okay, I see what's happened here. For Sinclair.
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, I don't know if it's just because you said Pike, but the first thing that came to my mind was Bruce Greenwood.
Yeah, I kind of thought of him too, but I think that's maybe that's too much typecasting.
Yeah, it's too Trek. Yeah, it's too Trek. We have to avoid Trek for the most part if we're going to cast people in these roles.
Yeah, I don't know. I'll leave that one open, I guess. But if anyone has any ideas, I'm not sure. Okay, but for John Sheridan, I think you need somebody who's commanding.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody who is on screen and takes control, is authoritative, but is emotional and has all the range that an actor should have. And I'm picking who I think is the best actor working today. And I'm going with Sterling K. Brown. No, it's controversial, but I like it.
Okay, no, I can. Oh, that's an interesting pick, actually.
He's so good.
He's very good. Okay, all right, now I'm on board.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't have any like hot takes or insights, but
that's okay. I'm
on board.
Well, he's like a legit like great actor, so like I don't know.
I think he has presence. I was going to say, I don't know if I see him smiling as often as Bruce Boxleitner does, but then again, maybe Sheridan in this case doesn't have to smile as much. This is a hardened Sheridan before he opens up and potentially falls in love with Delenn.
Yeah, and I haven't watched the show that he's mostly known for, the This Is Us, but I hear that's quite an emotional show. But he always impresses me. Like, I think he's so great.
Okay, Sterling K. Brown.
And then we got Delenn. And I think of Delenn as, I want her to look a little bit more alien. And she's so spiritual and ethereal that my mind went to the woman from, we just watched her in that that movie, the Hugh Jackman movie, and she's also in Westworld, but not Tandy Newton. Angela Serafian.
Oh, okay. That's an interesting pick. Yeah, she's in Westworld. Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
Yeah,
she's Clementine in Westworld for anyone.
Yes.
Keeping track. Do you know what? See, when you said I want someone more alien looking, I thought, is this not going to insult whoever you say now? But I can kind of see what you mean. She does have a very defined.
She has very
structure.
very beautiful features. Like she could definitely just be a model, but she's a talented actress, and she kind of has that that otherworldly beautiful thing going on.
Based purely on presence, I will say that is an interesting pick. I don't think I've ever seen her actually do much emotional acting though, like with dialogue. I mean, Westworld, she tends to be a bit of a quiet character who does a lot in body language and stuff, whereas Delenn has a lot of speeches to give and a lot of sentiments to pass. So I'll reserve a little judgment based on I don't know if she has those chops because I've never seen them,
sure.
But presence wise and looks wise, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
I could see her with the bone headdress.
Yeah, she'd probably be fun to make up.
Okay.
I'm good. Honestly, I'm not good with modern television. I don't really watch a whole lot except for comedies. So I do have some comedic castings in here. Okay. And one of them is for Ivanova because, yeah, she's a hardened, no-nonsense military, but man, she is goofy. She's really funny in the show. And she's often the comic relief. And I think the best female comedy actress right now is Annie Murphy from Schitt's Creek. So I'm going with her. I don't know if you're very familiar with her.
I'm not familiar with her at all. I don't know who that is. Okay. So I'll just take it word for it.
I mean, her character in the show is kind of a ditz, but she does other stuff too. And I think she's so talented. And in the show, she is still, she's ditz, but she has such a great character arc also, where that show is surprisingly very emotional and you really fall in love with the characters. And I think she has range. And I think, comedy in a lot of cases is more difficult than drama, or so I've heard people say on television. So I think she'd be capable of it. Anyway.
Oh, okay.
Annie Murphy. It gets a little hard after this. Honestly, I can't see anybody but, like we said, anybody playing Londo and Jakar except for Jurassic and Katsoulas. But
I almost wonder if you take a different approach. I almost wonder if you keep them more off camera because, and keep them as a sort of specter rather than being the characters we focus on, because it would be so hard to live up to those performances because they are so amazing.
Yeah, I mean, they're just such great characters, but it was just the actors brought so much more to it.
Yeah.
But I did go with Matt Berry for Londo.
Matt Berry! I mean, I want to see him with a hair on, obviously. If you want
to... I think, when I think of somebody on TV right now who embodies the more... the party side of Londo.
Right. See the funny stuff with Londo? I can see Matt Berry yelling in the casino and demanding drinks and all that stuff. But I'm trying to think of the more dramatic stuff with Londo where it gets a bit darker. And I'm having a hard time picturing Matt Berry acting in a way that's not making me laugh because he's always funny.
Right. I agree.
That's the only problem with this.
This would be a challenge for him. But if you want a character that you're always going to like even when they're an asshole,
True. I mean, I'm not saying he can't do it. I'm just saying I've only he's always hilarious. I've never seen him be in a serious scene where I get dramatically invested.
It's true. Honestly, I only really know him from What We Do in the Shadows and from Disenchantment, where he does obviously a voice character. Yeah. So, but I don't know. That's all I got for Londo, and I don't have anybody for Jakar.
I'm going to throw one for Jakar. Maybe a little bit old, but I feel like if I can throw in an actor from the hit television show Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Anthony Stewart Head, I think, could put on that makeup and be very theatrical.
No, he's not allowed in my Dreamcast. Dr. Franklin is. We don't have too much with him right now, where we're at in the season, except that he has an addiction to something, to stims. So I think his character should be played by somebody who has some real acting chops, who can channel that darker side of them. And I'm going with Ben Foster.
Okay, this isn't serious anymore. This is just you and your girl crushes. That's all this is.
Girl crushes. Well, Sterling K. Brown's definitely one of them. But Ben Foster is an incredible actor, and you've seen him in one movie that you hate.
I'm saying a lot of things. I saw him in Hell or High Water. I think he was in that, right?
Oh, he was amazing in that.
I've seen him in things.
Okay. Yeah. Anyway, I'm going with Ben Foster.
Okay.
I don't have anybody for Veer or Lanier. I was thinking maybe Lanier should be somebody who is maybe like a child actor who's grown up now.
Haley Joel Osment. Okay.
That's funny. He was funny in What We Do in the Shadows, and in Silicon Valley, but I don't think he's a very good actor. I don't know. Maybe someone else from Silicon Valley would work, though.
I don't know. You did tell me you've got Bridge Boy done, which, in fact, the full disclosure here. Tara made me watch a sketch from Saturday Night Live before we started, so that I would know who she was talking about when she brought up this guy's name.
Because you're not American, you don't know Saturday Night Live. Okay, I'll just skip to Bridge Boy. Bridge Boy is Kyle Mooney.
Okay.
And I picked him because the thing I know about Bridge Boy is that he will do anything Ivanova says. I think he's afraid of women. Mm-hmm. He's definitely afraid of her. She is intimidating though. So I picked Kyle Mooney because he's the best at being awkward, especially around women. He is definitely underused in Saturday Night Live, and he is a underrated actor.
What about Talia and Lita? Do we have casting for their telepaths?
Yeah, I don't know for Talia. Well, I was thinking maybe Natalie Dormer. Because Talia's sort of like all sex appeal and like intimidation. And she's a great actress, and she's not used very much. I
wonder if she's not been in a lot of successful things, but she is more of a movie actor now. I wonder if she would be open.
Is she? Well, she was in she was in Game of Thrones, obviously, and then she did she did that series, that Sherlock Holmes series with Lucy Liu in it.
Well, I don't know what that is, but she was in a horror movie called The Forest. She's popping up in things. I wonder if she's.
I think she did TV though. I think she went back to television.
Oh yeah, but but there's HBO and then there's CW, right? Like CW is a bit lower in the totem pole for most actors.
Well, yeah, but I mean, she did that Sherlock Holmes. She was like the Mr. Moriarty character in that show.
Yeah, but what was that on though? Was that on a regular network?
Yeah. I don't remember what the show was called.
Okay, fair enough. I assumed she was beyond doing like a network TV show at this point, but.
Well, a lot of people, because I'm not good at television, like I kept thinking of movie stars and like, they're never going to do that. Or like I even have one here on here. I have a couple on here that are in movies.
Sure.
And Lita, I don't know. I was thinking maybe Parker Posey. She's a bit old, but maybe the age doesn't matter.
Oh, but
and I like Parker Posey.
Parker Posey's such a villain, though. I can't root for her.
Well, Lita can be mischievous. We don't know which way she's leaning. You know, she's working with Kosh, and although we don't see Kosh as a villain, he's very mysterious.
I don't get Parker Posey vibes from Lita at this point. I'll tell you that.
I think it would be a fun version of Lita. We have Parker Posey.
Yeah, I don't know about that. I feel like you've glossed over Garibaldi here and all this, so he should be like. Sons.
Yeah, I don't know who casts for Garibaldi. Again, like you think he'd be an easier one to cast, but I'm having trouble with him. I had one person, but I'm actually casting him as Zach Allen.
Oh.
His name is Rob Wells. I don't think you know him. He's a Canadian actor, mostly known for Trailer Park Boys. He plays a character named Ricky. But he's also been in some movies recently. I watched one with him in it the other day, and I was like, oh my God, I can't believe it's that guy. He's incredibly talented. He is the best at being like the really likable dumb guy. Not like naive dumb. Sorry, Zach Allen, but that's what I think of your character.
Oh dear.
But he's like got a heart of gold, you know.
Okay. I have a good, because I feel like we joke that Garibaldi's kind of like a schlubbier Bruce Willis kind of type, and I don't know who the modern TV equivalent is of that.
Isn't it the Die Hard replacement, Jai Courtney?
Oh, shut up! No, how dare you?
Hey, people like him in Suicide Squad.
Yeah, but they don't like him in anything else.
Was he in like that Spartacus show or Rome or something? That was apparently good.
Apparently. I'm skeptical.
Okay. So we're almost done here. I don't have too many left. Marcus Cole, I think, should be cool. Effortlessly cool. He's not in the show, but he should be. He should be suave. And like he can have anything he wants, but he doesn't care. He's too cool for that. And I think that's Orlando Bloom.
Oh, I hate it.
No. You're thinking Legolas Orlando Bloom, not Legolas, like the real Orlando Bloom. Like he's basically a rock star without the band. And he might even have a band. I don't know.
I don't want Orlando Bloom anywhere around.
You just hate Lord of the Rings. This is my dream. You didn't make a list. I told you I was doing this. You had plenty of time.
This was your thing. You wanted to do a list. You wanted to do a Ficast list.
For Ambassador Kosh, I was thinking maybe Legacy, like Bruce Boxleitner could come back and just do the voice of him.
Oh yeah, that's just a fun idea.
But if we're going to just go with voice, why not go for the best voice? Why not get Tony Todd? Can you imagine how intimidated people would be of Kosh if it was Tony Todd?
I think the only problem is that Tony Todd's done so many voices and his voice is so distinct that I wonder if I'd hear his voice and think of one of the other things that he's done.
Kurt.
I wasn't thinking of his Star Trek Next Generation character, but that's obviously where your mind went to.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, and Bruce Boxleitner has, I always have a hard time saying his last name, but he has, a very good voice as well, but just want to bump it up a bit.
I mean, I don't have any notions. I don't tend to fan cast things much.
This is just for fun.
Yeah, my mind just doesn't, I don't know, we'll go there. That's not to say that I'm not opinionated when they announce someone for a role and I think, wait, really?
Yeah.
That person for this comic book character? That's what you're going with?
I did look at like a couple other people who put, like, this was before the reboot was announced, but they had like some fan casting, and they were going with Lita has red hair, so I should find an actress with red hair. And I was thinking I would do like whatever the girl Nebula girl is. I'm like I used to be a redhead for like 3 years also. Like that doesn't matter.
You're thinking of Karen Gillan, but yes, this reminds me of people saying they have to get a bald actor for Lex Luthor. When I'm like, whoever they get can just shave their head. It's not. You don't have to be bald already. It's really quite simple.
Right. It doesn't make any sense. But all the castings were like that. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna take this seriously.
You're trying to find who embodies the personalities and the things like that. Yes.
I feel like I love these characters, so I know them. They don't have to look a certain way. They just have to be a certain way. They have to be the important thing about the character. They have to have that extra thing.
So you were just thinking today about Sterling K. Brown and Amanda Seraphine, whatever you say her name.
Yeah. I think that's good casting.
Okay.
I would be happy with that. Obviously. Morden.
Oh, you got a Morden.
Yeah. Somebody punchable. Somebody smug. I know punchable is an important thing. I somebody like very smug, right?
There's a punchline coming here where I'm the one you've picked, but go on.
No. I picked Justin Theroux. I think he's got the right amount of smug. He's like I think he's kind of like a Mordin, but like a step up. Maybe.
I could see it. Again, maybe veering a little older in this one at this point. But
I don't know if it matters though.
Yeah, it probably doesn't really, but
I did have a hard time, like, okay, I love these actors, but like it's because I watch a lot of 80s and 90s movies, so they're probably too old now.
Yeah, that's tough. I think you want to avoid other because you know there was a couple of points where I thought of someone from The Expanse. I'm like, no, I'm thinking that because I've seen them in a spacesuit, like on a ship. Like I have to stay away
you
from
have that advantage though because I don't watch a lot of as much TV as you do that's like current. So like for me, like I know this person from this comedy and this person from this comedy. Although Matt Berry, I think would be an interesting Londo. The only other one I have left. Go ahead.
Right. Now, admittedly, I could easily just fill out the entire cast with people from Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul, and it would be great because the cast is phenomenal. But Giancarlo Esposito for Jakar.
Yes. Yeah.
Think about it.
I actually was thinking about him because I was thinking about Far Cry villains also. Like, well, yeah, they're great actors. Where does Greg Brake fit in?
I was trying to think of Nacho, whose real name I can't remember. The Far Cry 3 villain for you. To translate for you. But I was thinking, what about someone like that for Garibaldi? Like, I mean, yeah, sure, he's a little bit more handsome and stuff, but I could kind of, I'm so used to seeing him like be a tough, like, because in that show he's like a tough gang member. In Far Cry 3 he's like, you know, he's like a crazy guy who kidnaps people. I think he could pull off a very likable, like, down-to-earth guy, but it would be such a different role for him that I think that sounds interesting to see him in that. And then as soon as I thought of him, I thought, wait, but what about Esposito? He could play anyone.
Yeah. I mean, he's getting older, but I think he would be good. I don't know how much he would bounce off of Matt Berry from my casting, but
I think there's potential in that face.
I was thinking, honestly, like, where can I fit Jeffrey Combs into this list? Or like, he's getting a little older too.
Oh, he's the new Bester.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, actually,
Jeffrey Combs is the new Bester.
I didn't have Bester written down, but I was thinking, oh, you don't have a Bester yet. You should add that. The only one I have left. And granted, we're only in season 3. I know there's other characters that are introduced, but I don't know them yet.
Yeah, we can't predict. Yeah, so
it's Poochie.
Please, there's not going to be no Poochie. There ain't going to be no Poochie. He didn't want that character.
Who is my dream casting of Poochie? It is Anson Mount, because he can die in space for no reason.
Bit of a vindictive pick there, I think you'll find. For anyone who does not watch the reviews but has stumbled onto this because they found this particular video, Poochie is the pilot from season 2, which was clearly something that Kefir, yeah, was clearly someone that GMS didn't want to be in the show and killed off as quickly as he possibly could.
He had to go back to his home planet. So
we've been calling him Poochie. But yes. Okay, interesting pick.
Yes, I don't like Anson Mount. I don't love that for some reason everybody who hates Discovery loves Anson Mount in Discovery. He's clearly the worst part of that show. So yeah, it's a little bit of a vindictive. Like for me, if I were JMS and someone said, you have to have Anson Mount in your show, I would find a way to send him out into space and have him die for no reason.
When Tara said some people think he's the best part of that show, one of those people is me, just to put that out there.
I can't believe it. He's so bad in it.
He's partly
Captain Stepdad.
He's partly what made season 2 better.
No, he's the worst part of it.
No.
Although
anyway,
the one episode where he's like has the crystal thing is pretty good.
Oh dear. Okay, well, I think that'll wrap us up, Charlotte.
I hope you guys had fun. Please don't take it personal. Let me know your dream cast because I would love to see it. And don't tell me who the other characters are. I don't know.
Yes. We don't know the characters past the point we're at.
Who is your Poochie?
Yeah. But I think if I remember, I'll put a little caption that starts saying mild spoilers for some things up until the middle of season 3, because we referred to, Kefir being killed as quickly as possible. So just in case anyone is checking out this news but hasn't watched Babylon 5 yet and is whatever. So I'll put a little caption up at the start. So there you go. No, it's interesting though, and I think what's funny timing wise is that we're mid season 3. The earliest this could probably start, and this is a long shot, I wouldn't say it probably is, but the earliest it could start would be probably October 2022. And at that point, we would be probably on season 5. We'll probably be in season 5 when it starts at that point. If we're lucky and it doesn't start till mid-season that year, then it would be like at least January, maybe not until like March time. Then we might actually time it so the show's just finished for us, and then we can go straight into the new one.
if we have to, we can bump it up to 2 episodes a week just to catch up in time.
But it shouldn't be too much of a speed up. Cause
it wouldn't be. We wouldn't be able to do Crusades in time, though.
I don't think people would be that worried about that. That's something we could do.
Maybe I'll just watch on my own then.
I mean, we could do that in like the off season, like because that's the thing. If we're doing, because we were going to replace Babylon 5 with something else. I think what happens now is that if the new show does come on, and let's say it's on for 20 weeks a year or even 15 weeks a year, we do that, and then we do a season of whatever the replacement show was going to be. We'll do in the off season. And which would be kind of neat because it would mean that the show we do in the off season would also be kind of like we'd do a season and then we come back. Like
we could finally get to Lex.
Not Lex, but no. There's like Farscape, there's Stargate, there's so many other sci-fi shows that we could pick, and I do want to watch
Stargate. Actually, I've never seen it.
For some the reason,
Lex. Come on, it's like 3 seasons.
I'm just saying there's more culturally relevant shows that we could do that have
Space
I don't
1999.
Know. Not that. I feel like just a little thing maybe has like I don't know fans that might actually care of people discussing it.
I bet Lex has fans.
This is where
I remember being on TV and thinking that looks like something grown-ups would watch, not for me.
I can just.
But now I'm all grown up.
I can just see Tobias yelling, "There are dozens of us, dozens,
dozens."
That's all I can see right now.
We went longer on this than we did the actual review we just recorded.
I didn't see that coming, but not by much, admittedly. It's still.
Well, I did have more fans at casting than I think that you anticipated. Although, yeah, I'm missing Sinclair, Garibaldi, Jakar, Veer, and Lanier. Maybe Zach Woods would make a good Lanier.
Who's Zach Woods?
I would do that. He was in The Office. He was Gabe.
Oh no, that'll just make me think of Gabe, and I hated Gabe.
Well, yeah, you're supposed to, but he's a really good actor. He's also in Silicon Valley, and he's the most likable guy in that show.
But it's not just that I didn't like Gabe in the way that I was supposed to not like him. Like I hated that part of the show, and he was like a representative of that show getting shit.
He's on my fan list, so he's going to be cast now.
I don't want to see Gabe.
Set in stone.
I want to see Gabe as Lanier. He's too tall.
Well, I don't want to see Tony Head.
Tony.
I should cut.
I'm sorry. Are you good friends with Tony? You should call him Tony Head.
That's his name.
His name is Anthony Stewart Head. Thank you very much.
It's Tony. I was thinking also Bill Sadler, but like he's pretty old too. I don't know.
Yeah, I think he's a bit old. I think Bill Sadler, when he was younger, might have been more of a Londo, honestly, between the two.
Maybe.
Between the two of them, anyway. But that's all fine. What you do is you bring in Nicolas Cage, and you have him spin a wheel, and whatever character it lands on, no matter who it is, Nicolas Cage is going to play.
Or you have Andy Serkis just mocap everyone.
Andy Serkis he's going to do the motion cap for Kosh. Because I've got a funny feeling that Kosh, should the Vorlon be in it, and I suspect they will be in some capacity, I imagine their suit is going to look a bit different with modern tech.
Yes.
I imagine that'll look a bit different.
I'll kind of miss the little butthole opening and closing.
Yeah. I think Narn and Minbari...
And the weird little things that spin around.
I think Narn and Minbari will probably look... And even Centauri, I suppose. I think they'll all look like not the exact same, but I think they'll all look like an evolution of what they were before. They'll still have the bonehead probably on the Centauri. Narn will still have a reptilian-looking kind of vibe probably. Centauri, they might keep the big tall hair. I hope they do.
They do too.
But I feel like with the Vorlons, I could see them taking a bit of a redesign.
Yeah.
Like a more extreme one versus the others. That is our news and fan casting discussion, whatever this may have been. But we figured people who do watch our weekly reviews of Babylon 5 would be interested in our thoughts on this
Enjoy
big
your
news.
Bonus.
Yeah, this is I don't imagine there'll be a lot of it. Maybe when they announce the whole cast list, we'll come back and do another special where we critique the cast list they've given us. But yes. That is that. So thank you very much for joining us. You can support everything we do by hitting the like button, subscribing, dinging the bell, all that stuff that YouTubers all tell you to do. It is important. So hit the buttons. You can support us as well financially over in patreon.com/MailFuzzTV for as little as $1 per month and help keep all the content coming. But otherwise, that is us. So thank you once again for watching or listening. We always appreciate it. Keep watching TV and keep watching Babylon 5. Just don't give away the home world.